Hi, Andy, and welcome to the show. This is our show on branded content marketing, and we are from the this is done in partnership with the BCMA, which is the Branded Content Marketing Association, and it's the podcast on branded content market, the future of branded content marketing and PR. So tell us a little bit about Connect and what you do, and how all the things that you do at Connect. I mean, you're a pretty multi-dimensional public relations firm. So tell us more.
Great. Well, thanks very much for asking me to be on the program. So I'm the managing partner of Connect. We are a UK-based PR agency with a particular specialism working broadly in the area of political communications and political campaigns. We work for a very wide range of organisations, helping charities, for example, to make their case to policymakers, politicians, and working in an advisory role with a wide range of big companies. We work with Coca-Cola, Toyota, Microsoft, for example. We run campaigns that very much focus on changing minds. So our strapline is "We Open Minds," whether that is helping to change public opinion, to inform public opinion, or indeed to help to engage with politicians and people who make decisions in different spheres, different parts of public life here in the UK, helping to promote issues, understanding to them.
So branded content, the branded content marketing association is all about branded content. So it's about creating the right content to influence, to suggest in a very subtle way. So what are some of the interesting case studies which you have been doing? I know you've been doing a lot of work in the divorce law, in political. So could we take a few interesting case studies and talk about the kind of content that has been created and how you went to go about influencing change?
Sure. Well, in the example of divorce law, we've been working with organisations in the UK, particularly an organisation called Resolution, who represent family lawyers and lawyers who act in family courts in the UK, to change a divorce law, which is really now, I think, really quite old-fashioned divorce law in the UK. In particular, the difficulty that when requesting a divorce through the legal system, that one party, husband or wife, one has to blame the other for the divorce. And family lawyers say that this creates a very difficult context in order to sort out your affairs after a marriage, particularly, for example, financial matters, but also where there are children involved. It can create acrimony and tension that doesn't help to find new arrangements after a marriage is broken down, a relationship is broken down. So we've been working with them to build collateral branded content, including a series of case studies, for example. We work to produce research. They have a fantastic in-house team that develop much of this, and our role is to help them to amplify that content, to engage new and different audiences, complementing the work that they do. So together we've secured really good coverage in the media in the UK. For example, exclusive coverage in some of our daily national newspapers. Great work during what they call Divorce Week, which took place in the autumn. For the last couple of years, we've worked with them around research they published to coincide with that, that shows social attitudes are changing, and that's helped to get coverage in broadcast media as well. So I think that combination of personal case studies plus good research, data, polling has been really important to help make the case. And we call it, we think of it as building collateral in the way that we would describe it, but completely understand that is very much part of the branded content that you specialise in.
So how do you go about planning all this collateral, and how do you go about planning all this material? What is from the time that a client comes to you, how do you go about the entire process of planning the whole campaign?
Yeah. Well, we work with clients who sometimes have content already. They might be producing a report, or already have commissioned research, and will work with us to help make sure that they get maximum coverage, and also to help target it to particular audiences. So we have a specialism in helping to target information to decision makers, opinion formers, those kind of audiences, as distinct from, for example, wider consumer audiences. So that we would see that as our specialism. Although actually there is a relationship. So sometimes we help organisations to engage with with their members or their consumers, their supporters, depending on the type of organisation they are. So in the example of the divorce law work, actually family lawyers all around the UK are very supportive of the campaign. Many of them are members of the organisation that we've been working in partnership with, and so engaging them in activity around the country has been very much part of the work. So we bring innovation to the work that we do with clients. We bring ideas from all the different clients we work with that adds value to the work that the client does. But in terms of the planning process, that will be about thinking of who is it that we're trying to communicate with, what are the target audiences, what are the time frames, particularly if you're thinking about achieving policy change, if you think about the critical time frames for that. It's a very interesting and challenging political context here in the UK that we've been working in, and so to try to get attention to this issue at a time when, particularly of course Brexit in the UK, but also other issues, environmental issues, very, very high on the political agenda, public consciousness, so creating interest and space to bring other issues to the fore is a challenge, and we work on that with our client together.
So when you talk, you used a particular word called innovative. Are there any interesting innovative examples which you did, which really was something out of the box, which you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I would give an example of our work on disabled housing in the UK. Currently, most new homes built in the UK are done so without considering the long-term adaptability if a resident becomes disabled, or if a disabled person wants to move into a property. We work with the client to develop research that shows a very small additional cost at the building stage of a new house could make that house a lifetime home. So a home that can be fit for a person throughout their life, even if and actually as is likely at some time they may have some need for adaptations in their home, but thinking that through in the design stage. So the particular innovation in our work with the client, well, there were several. So one was, we used a tool called Freedom of Information in the UK, where you can make requests to public bodies, government bodies for information, and they're legally obliged to provide information. So we carried out a Freedom of Information survey across the country about local councils, local government here in the UK, about their policies on accessible housing, particularly at the planning and development stage. Local councils here have the responsibility to agree to new housing being built, and at that stage they could ask about accessibility, and we found that actually very, very few of them do. We published a league table of the local authorities that gained a lot of coverage. We then worked with our client and brought together a coalition of interested organisations, charities, housing organisations, to campaign on a national campaign day. And I think the innovation of the National Campaign Day, and actually helping the client to see something that sounds like it would require a huge amount of resources, that it would be very, very difficult to organise, actually helping to make that practical, helping to deliver that through our additional capacity, through our ideas, but crucially by working with them to unlock their own organisations, the potential they have in their own organisation, their own staff, their own supporters in the charities and different organisations we work with. So the National Campaign Day had high impact, again, about creating space for your issue in a crowded news agenda, and achieving impact in the national media, social media. It was a critical part of that campaign. So we engaged users of disabled people who are currently in occupying accessible housing to talk about what a difference it had made to them and their lives, particularly if they'd moved from housing that was not meeting their needs to more accessible housing, that it enabled. It can be transformative. So getting people to tell their stories on social media is fantastic. Some of them did that through video. Some did it through writing messages and then posting the messages on social media. And many of them actually took part in activities. So, for example, local visits and told their story. So that storytelling all across the UK really helped to change minds. We managed to, working with some really supportive politicians, particularly a really good government minister at the time who was understood our case, was supportive, managed to change the law. And even more than that, I think, raise awareness. I think that's the most critical factor, is because the law itself is quite a blunt instrument. Actually getting people building houses, getting councils who have to permit houses to think about the design of the house and accessibility, that's been the biggest change of all.
So is political PR different from regular PR? Do you find that there's a different strategy involved?
I can only talk really about the work that we do, although I can say that we sit very much as part of the PR industry in the UK, that we very much identify broadly with the PR industry. There is much in common in our work. So, for example, the need to measure our impact is a critical conversation we're having here in the UK, improving the way that we measure impact. We have a similar skill set, the team here, so working through national organisations of PR in the UK to focus on apprenticeships, on skills for PR. And I think broadly, what is in common, any type of PR, I think telling a good story, good storytelling, good message development, that comes back to the point about branded content. So how do you communicate the message? We do that in common with any type of PR.
So we could keep talking about this, I guess, but because there's always the barrier of time and this. So just to wrap up,